Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're doing well, and I appreciate you stopping by. I thought I'd do another little shelf spotlight today as my way of very slowly making my way through a somewhat sort of library tour. And today I thought I would focus on two authors that I have been reading since I was a little kid. Of course, none other than Judy Blume and Beverly Cleary. I have quite a collection of their books. Some I've had since I was a little kid, and some I see them at a thrift store and I don't have that book, so I'll pick it up still. Even today, I'm still picking up Judy Blume and Beverly Cleary books. But yeah, so let's dive right in, and we're going to start with Judy Blume, and we're going to start with, of course, some of her Fudge series. I don't know actually how many books there were ever in the Fudge series. I don't think I have all of them though. But I do have the one that kicked it off, which is Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing, which is where we meet Peter and his little brother Fudge, who just gives him a hard time. Because Fudge is just, well, he's kind of a little terror, right? And so Peter is just struggling with that. It's really cute, I remember. And one I do remember reading and loving, of course, and I think this is my copy from way back in the day. Look how yellowed it is, but super Fudge. And in this one, Peter and Fudge, the new baby comes along who they call Tootsie, from what I remember, like Tootsie Roll. I can't remember what the chocolate stuff is. why there's a chocolate theme to the family, but yeah, so Tootsie comes along and turns Peter's and Fudge's world upside down, and Fudge is of course just a terror to the baby. Like here she's putting like stamps on the baby, I think. And yeah, I remember loving Super Fudge so much. Let's see, and this is like one of those thrift store pickups, was Double Fudge. I definitely don't remember reading Double Fudge. But I should. I really need to read the whole Fudge series, I guess. And it looks like I am missing Fudge-mania. Yeah, I do remember Fudge-mania. Yep. And it looks like there's something else. I can't even read this. Oh, otherwise known as Sheila the Great. Okay, yeah, I don't have that one. So I guess Sheila the Great is part of the Fudge series. I don't have that one though. I need to find that one, and then I could read the Fudge series. But anyway, this is basically, looks like it's more focused on Fudge himself. He's obsessed with making money and wants to buy the world, because of course he does. They run into some family. I don't know. It's Fudge, so I'm sure it's fun. So yeah, these are the Fudge books that I've got, and I just remember in particular loving Super Fudge. All right, this one is so good too. Iggy's House. Again, this is another old one. I've had this one. So Iggy used to live in this house, and Iggy moves away, and then this new family comes in. You can see they look a little different, but the neighborhood kids, they just want to make new friends with with the new folks that have moved in. And I remember loving this book, because again, like it says here on the back, the Garber family moved into Iggy's house. 2 boys, Glenn and Herbie, and Tina, their little sister. The Gerbers were black, and Grove Street was white, and always has been. Winnie is a welcoming committee of one, set out to make a good impression, to be a good neighbor, and that's why the trouble started. So yeah, I remember really loving this one too. When was this one written? Let me see. 1970. Yeah. I bet this is probably still pretty relevant today. Okay, look at this old copy of Freckle Juice. This is a really teensy one. And from what I remember, let's see. Yeah, Nicky has freckles that cover his face, his ears, and the whole back of his neck. Once, sitting behind him in class, Andrew counted 86 of them, and that was just a start. If Andrew had freckles like Nicky, his mother would never know if his neck was dirty. So after school one day, Andrew works up enough courage to ask Nicky where he got his freckles. And as luck would have it, who should overhear him but giggling, teasing Sharon. Sharon. She offers Andrew her secret freckle juice recipe for 50 cents. And that's a lot of money, but Andrew is desperate. So he gets up this concoction for freckles. Yeah, this is just sort of a quick little, kind of, not too serious of a story, but freckle juice. I definitely remember reading that one. Let's see. This is a newer copy, I think. Maybe a thrift store pickup. But Deanie. Now, Deanie, I don't remember much about this one, but I do remember reading this one. So when Deanie sees the brace for the first time, she wants to scream, "Forget it. I'm never going to wear that thing. Everyone will know." But the words won't come out. And Deanie, beautiful Deanie, who everyone says should be a model, is stuck wearing a brace from her neck to her hips for 4 years or longer. She feels ugly and angry, but only she can figure out how to deal with it, and that's going to take courage. Okay. Yeah, that's one. I probably need to reread this one and see how this one is. So it looks like Deanie has had some sort of accident, maybe broken her back or something, and ends up with this brace. So that sounds pretty cool. Blubber is one I definitely remember reading. This is a newer copy of it. This one I know. Let's see. I know it's a bullying a girl that's like chubby, I think. So it's like a note is passed around where they call this girl Blubber, and yeah, I'm sure it's awesome. I remember reading that, but I don't remember too much about that one. It's Not the End of the World by Judy Blume. This is really fantastic, actually. And I reread this one maybe a year or two ago, and it's actually still pretty, honestly, still pretty relevant, I think. Let's see when this one was written. 1972. But it is about divorce. Karen, I think. Yes, Karen. Her parents are getting a divorce. Her dad has moved out, and Karen has a hard time with that, and she really wants them to get back together. She kind of hatches these schemes to kind of try to get them back together. So that maybe they'll realize that they've made a mistake, because they obviously belong together. And yeah, honestly, I still remember, even like I said, reading this a year or two ago, I still thought this was very, what's the word? I don't know. It still hit the same marks, I think, of what it's like to be a kid of divorce. I myself, my parents divorced when I was really young, so I grew up that kid going to separate houses and all of the stuff. So, I mean, I very much related, very much still related to this book. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember liking that one. I mean, the classic, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I mean, this is a classic sort of tween girl story. Margaret, she moved into a new neighborhood. Yeah, they moved to a new town, and so she has to get into a new school, meeting new friends, and she's trying to figure out. There's some things that she has questions about. Like growing up, and religion actually comes into this. She's like, because her parents don't go to church, but some of her friends' parents go to different churches, and so she goes to different churches to try to see what it's all about. And then there's just this sort of that in between weird age that they're at, where they're not quite full blown teenagers yet, but there's still these little crushes on boys, and wondering when your boobs are gonna come. We must We must increase our bust. Remember that? The sleepover? Yeah, this is a classic. I actually reread this one pretty recently too, a year or two ago, and it's still good. Yeah, it's still really good. All right. My last Judy book, and I will say it's my last middle grade Judy book. I've got one of her adult books around here somewhere, but I've never read any of her grown-up stuff. But I've got starring Sally J. Friedman as herself. This is one I do not remember reading. It's actually a bit longer too. So Sally's family moves to Miami Beach for the winter of 1947. Okay, so we're set back a little back further in time. She's excited and scared at the same time. What will school be like in Florida? Will she make new friends? Will she fit in when she's so far away from home? But none of this stops Sally from having the most amazing adventures. One minute she's a famous movie star or a brilliant detective. The next she's found the Latin lover of her dreams, her classmate, Peter Hornstein. And what about the Friedman's neighbor, old Mr. Zavodsky, who looks suspiciously like Hitler in disguise? Sally's life is a movie played inside her head, and Miami Beach is her best setting. Yet, if only she didn't have to worry. If only she didn't have so much to worry about. Okay, this sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, like I said, I definitely do not remember reading this one when I was a kid. Or because it was long. So I need to check Sally out. She sounds like she's a lot of fun. Let's see. And yeah, that is all of my Judy books. So yeah, nice little collection of Miss Judy. I love Judy so much. I'm going to put this in the garage. All right, so let's dig right into Beverly Cleary. I have way more Beverly Cleary books. So this one is Muggy Maggie. I don't think I read this one. I picked this up at a thrift store recently, somewhat recently. And Maggie Schultz doesn't have any use for those wiggly squiggly letters used in grown-up handwriting. Even though the entire third grade class is learning to write, she insists she will continue to print or write on the computer. Let's see. She gets herself in silly predicament, one in which she will become the laughingstock of the class, and makes a lot of trips to the principal's office. So this story wrought with the same understanding and sympathetic humor that have warmed the hearts of generations of readers. And so yeah, I don't know. I might have to check out Miss Maggie here. She has a cute dog. This is one of my favorite books ever. Still is Dear Mr. Henshaw, and this, much like the Judy Blume book, is a story about divorce, parents that have divorced, and in this one, Lee writes letters to Mr. Henshaw, who is an author of kids' books, and he starts writing letters to him as part of a class project, but then soon it turns into a sort of friendship of sorts of writing the letters back and forth, and soon he writes just letters to like himself in a journal as he's really working through being the new kid in school, his dad not being around very much, and how that he gets mixed feelings about it because he still loves his dad, but then he kind of hates his dad because he's not around, and like, you know, that whole thing. And again, I think this is still very much relative. I think if you have a kid that's going through a divorce, I think they could still find a lot in here to sort of see themselves in, even though it was written so long ago. I think this was also from the 70s, 1983. So, but still, I think Beverly Cleary she just gets kids. Judy too, but yeah, it's so good. Okay, now let's see. Let me try to organize these a bit. So let's do some sort of standalone series before we get into this, or standalone book. Organize here. I have Otis Spofford. This is not one I remember reading either. This was definitely a thrift store pickup. Otis is tops when it comes to teasing. There's nothing Otis likes better than stirring up a little excitement in class. He can make a science project turn out all wrong without much effort at all. He can turn a folk dance fiesta into a circus, but nothing gives Otis as much pleasure as teasing Ellen Tebbets, excuse me. She is so neat and well behaved, and she never fails to get mad. And then one day his teasing goes a little too far. But now Ellen isn't just angry, she's planning something. So it looks like some revenge from sweet Ellen on Otis, the class prankster. I feel like is she in another book, I wonder? Her name sounds so familiar. I don't know. But anyway, I mean, can you get any more classic than The Mouse and the Motorcycle? This follows Ralph the Mouse as he ventures out from behind the piney knothole in the wall of his hotel room. Home, scrambles up the telephone wire to the end table, and climbs aboard the toy motorcycle left there by young guest. And his thrill ride does not last long. He takes a terrible fall. And as the kid comes back to get the motorcycle, he rescues Ralph and then teaches him how to ride the bike. And thus begins a great friendship. I definitely remember reading this one. I mean, what's not to love about her? A mouse riding a motorcycle. And this is from 1965. Whew. There was a follow-up, Ralph S. Mouse. And so it looks like Ralph, I've never read this one. So Ralph leaves the hotel that he's staying at and persuades his young pal Ryan to take him to school. All right. It looks like there's another in the series actually too. Runaway Ralph. I don't think I've got Runaway Ralph. But continuing the animal theme, I have Socks. Socks is a happy cat, lives a good life. He's the center of their world. He has everything he needs. Oh, but when the new baby arrives, suddenly they have less time for Socks. Little baby's getting all the attention, and Socks feels left out. And to show that, he starts getting into all sorts of trouble. Oh, that sounds cute. That sounds so cute, actually. Poor Socks. Let's see, this one was from 1973. And then there's Ribsy, of course, the dog. Let's see, Ribsy, it's kind of a tongue tie. He has gotten himself hopelessly lost in a huge shopping mall parking lot in a rainstorm. And this sort of starts into the next series. So he's looking all over for the Huggins family car. He gets soaking wet. He's just lost. He jumps in the window of the car he thinks belongs to the Huggins family, but he's made a mistake. He's in the wrong car, and it's so about him trying to get home and to be Henry Huggins' dog again. So that leads us into, of course, Henry Huggins. So Henry, he always feels that nothing very interesting ever happens to him, but from the moment a stray dog in the drugstore begs for a taste of his ice cream cone and downs it in one gulp, everything is different. Henry names the dog Ribsy and decides to keep him before Henry even reaches home. He spends all of his money, kicks out 3 buses, enjoys a ride, and that's just the beginning of Henry's exciting new life. So Henry is this is a very old book. 1950 is when Henry Huggins hit the scene. And this was Beverly Cleary's very first book, was the book about Henry and his dog, Ribsy. And we see more here. And then, of course, Henry, there's another Henry in the clubhouse. So Henry and his friends Robert and Murph have a clubhouse where, of course, there's no girls allowed. And that especially means Ramona Quimby. So Henry is very sort of, it's adjacent to the Ramona and Beezus books. And so this is a book that also has Ramona in it. Is Henry in the clubhouse. There is also, of course, Henry and Beezus. Now, Beezus is, of course, Ramona's older sister. And in this one, he's saving up for a bicycle. Luckily, Henry's neighborhood friend Beezus is ready to help and lend a hand. So it looks like there is another Henry book, Henry and the Paper Route. So I do not have that one. So those books will, of course, lead us right into the Ramona series. I don't know the exact order of these, but here is Ramona the Pest. Now this is an old book that I've had since I was a kid. Ramona isn't really a pest. They just call her a pest because the kids are always bigger and they can be so unfair. It's just that she's just not a slowpoke grown-up. She's a girl who cannot wait. She's so life is so interesting. She has to find out what will happen next. So in here she is starting kindergarten, and so like she likes most of it, but you know, it's just the start of kindergarten. I don't know if this is Henry here. It's been a long time since I've read Ramona the Pest. That is for sure. Let's see, this one was 1968. So yeah. And let's see, this one I definitely remember reading too. This is my old copy, is Ramona Quimby, age 8. So she is 8 now. It looks like they're going to a new school. She takes the school bus all by herself. But her mom works and her dad's in law school, so she has to stay with old Mrs. Kemp every day until Beezus comes for her. And she has to be nice to a 4-year-old Willa Jean. So yeah, looks like she's just dealing with some changes in her life here, our dear Ramona. Let's see, there's a Ramona and her father. Ramona just wanted everyone to be happy. If only her father would smile and joke again. Her mother would look less worried, her sister would be cheerful, and the cat would eat his food. But Ramona's father has lost his job, and nobody was in a very good mood. She kept trying to clear them up, but every new idea seemed to cause just more trouble. So that sounds a bit heartwarming. And of course there's Ramona and her mother. So let's see. How come nobody ever calls me my mother's girl, thinks Ramona. She finally has her mother to herself. Her plan to make slacks for her stuffed elephant goes wrong. Looks like she just, causes a little trouble. Mom's not pleased. Yeah, so well, that's just like the gist of it. She's trying to kind of, I think, make some connections with her mom in here. But then she just does Ramona stuff, so. So, here's Ramona the Brave. This one I remember reading for sure. I think this is one of her older ones too, 1975. Ramona is happy to have a new bedroom all to herself during the day, at least. It's not as easy to be brave when there might be a ghostly, boneless gorilla oozing under the door at night, obviously. Then there's the big mean dog that steals Ramona's shoe on her way to school. Man, any other first grader might be frightened, but it's going to take more than monsters and dogs to scare Ramona. Yeah, that one looks fun. Let's see, I've got Ramona Forever. Ramona's life changes the moment Howie Kemp's mysterious uncle arrives from Saudi Arabia. Howie and his sister Willa Jean, who we meet in an earlier book, talk only about Uncle Hobart. Ramona's mother makes secret phone calls and stops eating dessert. And Aunt Bee is hiding something too. Whatever surprises are in store, Ramona is determined to be happy and helpful. Whether she's pleasant, brave, or blunderful, she's always a wonderful Ramona forever. Let's see. When was this one written? 1984. My last Ramona book and my last Beverly Cleary book that I have on my shelf is from, let's see, 1999, Ramona's World. So in this one, Ramona takes on the 4th grade. So she's got a bit older here. The best year ever. That's what Ramona thought the 4th grade was going to be. But things aren't turning out as she hoped. Sure, she has a new best friend named Daisy, but how can she improve her spelling as her teacher insists, or be the role model for her baby sister, Roberta, and that Mrs. Quimby expects? 4th grade life is full of adventure and challenges, and at the end of it all, a 0th birthday to celebrate. So yeah, Ramona's a bit older here, so I'm very curious. I've definitely not read this one. Did I say 99? Yeah, I definitely moved on from Ramona books. by the 1999, I was 20 something years old. Yeah, so I would like to this whole sort of Henry Beezus Ramona series. I think it would be really fun to reread these. Wouldn't take terribly long. Find out a good reading order maybe, and maybe attempt that one day. I think that would be fun. So that is it. That's my Judy Blume and Beverly Cleary. I love them. I still love them. We'll love them forever. And let me know, are you Judy Blume, Beverly Cleary fans? Did you read them a lot when you were kids? And have you read any as an adult? I'd love to know, because like I said, a few that I have reread as an adult still are so good, and I think are still very relevant to just what it's like to be a kid. I'd love to know. This was a bit of a long one, so if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. I always appreciate your time. And until the next one, I'll catch you later. Bye, friends.